Yo, what's decent? I am finally back. It's only been like about a day, but anyway, I am here with a 3rd Gen Wi-Fi match. How the hell is this possible? My opponent actually found a way that you can circumvent the whole process of having to have one player connect via the emulator. I'm just able to connect with my emulator, and he like streamed, and it was like freaking amazing. Like, how is this possible? So, wow. I can't believe this is happening right now. My opposition is going to lead out with Ampharos. I'll lead out with Bayonet, trying to inflict a burn onto it because I have nothing that I would really appreciate a Thunderbolt coming from the Ampharos. Ampharos is slow respectively, but it packs quite a bit of a punch. So, I'm just going to want to inflict a burn onto it. That's the best I can really do, hence me being paralyzed and missing my Will-O-Wisp initially. That's going to help out later on, as you guys would see like about, I guess like 9 minutes into the video or whatever. I'll point it out. But Bayonet kind of did his job, and I mean, I don't know. I was a little disappointed at Bayonet's early dissipation, early obliteration, early cremation. You know what I mean? But like, man, there's nothing I could really do. I had nothing to switch into it. So I'm just going to be inclined to switch in my Altaria at this point. I take a while to think about what I want to switch into. I had like Vileplume and things like that, but I didn't want Vileplume to get like fully paralyzed or anything like that. Because in this case scenario, we can actually see each other's moves sets in this case. Whenever you play Wi-Fi or 1st, 2nd, or 3rd gen, we're entitled, or we're not entitled, but we can actually see each other's movesets while we battle. So that actually makes it a little bit harder to inflict what you want to inflict because your opposition is going to know what you already have. But it kind of works in your favor too because you also know what the opposition has. So anyway, he's just going to switch out after I get it for DD. I was thinking that, I guess, Earthquake would have been a little too obvious. Not exactly sure if Earthquake would have finished off the Ampharos at that particular amount of HP, but it was worth a shot to get off the DD. I'm gonna go for the hidden power flying because if you guys remember, that hidden power was based on the moves respectively was based on what type it was. So let's say if it was rock, it'll be physical, but in hindsight, if it was fire, it'll be considered a special move. He goes out into Feraligatr, switches right out into Meganium after my Poliwrath absorbs the Hydro Pump with the water absorber ability. I'm just gonna switch right out into my Vileplume now to set up the Sunny Day, which is great. A double switch on my part. Like I just said before, I saw his moveset. He sees mine too because he's asking me what I want to do. So now he brings in Flareon as I set up my Sunny Day, which is awesome, pretty cool. So I do want to get off my spikes. I have the Armor Storm on my squad. After I set up the Sunny Day with the Vileplume and then decide to put Flareon to sleep, since now my Vileplume is faster than the Flareon and I don't want Flareon inflicting any status outputs onto any parties I might potentially switch out into, I would feel more inclined to switch in my Armor Star to set up as much spikes as possible so that now his squad will be more hesitant to like switch in and out and stuff like that. I mean, it's common sense, you know. So I'm just gonna do that right now. Switching to my Armor Star, he's gonna go and stay and try to burn off Return to Sleep. You guys remember in 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th gen, they kind of nerfed that ability in 5th gen where you actually can count how many turns of sleep you have, especially if you went for a rest yourself. So I'm just gonna go for the spikes now. I see that he has hidden power, so I'm thinking like, okay, I'm safe. I could actually go for the Ice Beam and inflict some damage onto it. So he goes for the hidden power and it's super effective, but it knocks me out, which is like, dude, are you hidden power grass? That in this case scenario is utterly amazing. I have to give this guy props for that. I mean, I don't, wow. I'm so not a devil. I mean, maybe that's a new thing for me. Maybe it's on small gun. I don't know. But I'm just like completely impressed by that. Like, that took me by surprise. So what I'm going to do now is it's obvious for him to want to switch up. So I'm just going to set up a substitute on the switch. He goes into Feraligatr. I'm thinking that he might either predict my switch out into Altaria and go for the Ice Beam, and or try to go for the Hydro Pump. So I go into my Poliwrath to absorb both. I could probably get off a Focus Punch, but he does not do that. And here am I thinking that I'm safe. I'm like, alright, I got me a nice little substitute. I'm about to go for the Bulk Up, and then the Focus Punch is smack this Feraligatr into oblivion. But he goes for the Earthquake, boom! Destroys my substitute entirely. You know, so I'm like, okay, you know, maybe I'm back at square one, but at least I didn't take any hit point damage where Poliwrath is concerned as of yet. So I'm just gonna decide to stay in. He goes for a secondary Earthquake, smack. Boom, you know, so that looks like a 4-hit KO at that particular amount of HP. I'm just gonna go for the bulk up. We see each other's movesets, as I did explain earlier, so I know that he's a Swords Dance set, and he knows that I'm a sub Focus Punching set. So I'm not exactly sure if I should go for the Focus Punch as of now. I prefer to go for the substitute now, even if he was the Swords Dance, because he does have Ampharos. So if I was to go for the Focus Punch, finishing off his Feraligatr, I would be exposed to his Ampharos, and I can't go for the Focus Punch with a +1 Poliwrath on an Ampharos, you know, despite it being burnt. So Feraligatr, I got a serious question for you. Have you ever felt or know what it feels like to be picked on? You about to find out. Get your lunch money taken. I'm cocking my fist back, and there ain't nothing you can do about it, man. You about to get the full, blunt, unstoppable, impenetrable force of this Focus Punch. That +1 bulk up. Boom! Look at that, man. My fist is shiny. What you know about that? But anyway, he survives, which is like, okay, you know what? Let me just switch out into my Altaria, because I'm inclined to believe that he's gonna go more so for another Earthquake. So I'm just gonna go do just that, and his Earthquake fails, obviously, because I'm part flying with my Altaria. Me thinking that I'm actually faster, I just go for the hidden power flying, but it turns out that he was faster. Had I known that he was faster, I would have went for the Dragon Dance, man. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I was actually slower than this thing. I'm thinking all this time that Altaria was faster than a lot of his threats on his team, because I noticed that everything on his team, like Ampharos, Medicham, like everything gets destroyed by my Altaria set. So it would be more advantageous for me to indeed set up a Dragon Dance, but I didn't deem setting up a Dragon Dance at that particular point to be the most optimal thing that you can do, especially since Feraligatr does have access to both Blizzard and Ice Beam, you know, so that can respectively 1-hit KO my Altaria, so I didn't want that to die as of yet. So he brings in the Medicham. I'm thinking like, alright, I can fake out, you know, he's gonna fake out obviously, I mean, and then afterwards he goes for a Rock Slide. I didn't even anticipate that at all, like at all. You know, I'm thinking like all this time, like, okay, he doesn't have Ice Punch because it would be unfavorable for him to have Ice Punch at this gen, since Ice Punch was considered a special move. So I'm like, what can he really do against that? Maybe he's just trying to fake me out and then switch right out into Sand Slash, knowing that Sand Slash can take physical hits all day. That was my train of thought. I didn't think that Medicham would be the one to destroy my Altaria, so I was like, whoa, completely destroyed by that play. My #1 MVP of this team, which is Altaria, just bites the dust entirely. So now I'm just going to make a double switch. As he switches into Flareon and sleeping at this point, I'm just going to take a huge risk, go for the unprotected Focus Punch. Hopefully he doesn't wake up, and he does not! And unfortunately for him, I'm going to cock my fist back like I just practiced earlier on the Feraligatr. Boom! This time I finished my target off, and Flareon does not see the light of day again. That is amazing, but unfortunately, like I did state before when I was up against Feraligatr with my Poliwrath, now I'm here with Ampharos. I know that I am faster, so the here's with a burn from the Bayonet is going to pay off, because now he's just going to take residual damage despite him having the leftovers. I'm just going to substitute until I can't substitute anymore, because I don't have any safe switches like I stated before, and then afterwards I'm just going to inflict the Shadow Ball, because if you guys remember that Ghost type moves, all Ghost type moves were physically based. So coming from a Poliwrath, it'll do more damage as opposed to like Shadow Ball coming from like a Gengar, you know, which is kind of freaking sad, you know, if you really think about it. But yeah, that's kind of where 3rd gen was, where moves were concerned. So anyway, I'm just going to sub up like I keep saying it before. This part is a little bit boring. So substitute, he's going to go for the Thunderbolt. And the importance of me going for the substitute more so is because I do have substitute on a lot of my things. And I don't want him like to catch a Thunder Wave, especially like if hypothetically speaking I was supposed to like switch out into my Vileplume to take a Thunderbolt, and then like I don't have anything to say switch out into. Like let's say I switch out into Poliwrath and be fully paralyzed and such, so I can't inflict like the Shadow Ball like I really would want to inflict on the Ampharos. So I'm more compelled to like stay and go for the substitutes here. You guys understand that he's gonna repeatedly go for the Thunderbolt, and I can't set up another substitute now, so I have no choice but to go for the Shadow Ball. I don't want anything taking a Thunderbolt as of yet. I have a plan for that, because I know at this particular point of the game, I think Medicham is his most valuable player, because I do have the Vileplume, and I noticed that he has I think he has Sand Slash, Medicham, as well as Meganium left over, all who are like undershadowed by Vileplume once I do get up my Sunny Day. So I think Medicham is going to be out most important with this fake out there. So I dwindled down Ampharos to a considerable amount of HP where I can probably take it out with, like, let's say a Fire Blast coming from the Rapidash. I do have Rapidash and Vileplume left over. It'll be foolish for me to send in Vileplume because Vileplume at this point I think is slower than the Ampharos, and I do need a turn to set up the Sunny Day. So as much as I would have liked to set up the Sunny Day, as I'm not carrying the substitute or my Vileplume, I feel compelled to switch in my Rapidash, which is what I do. Just in case this clown happens to go for the Thunder Wave, I'm just going to set up a substitute, and afterwards I was going to Baton Pass it right out into Vileplume so I get off a nice little sub-protected Sunny Day, and then afterwards, if his Medicham were to come in, and then he had to fake out the substitute in order to finish me off, and then afterwards I can just finish it off with the Solar Beam and not have to worry about any guys on his team. But he's a little bit smarter than that. He goes for the Thunderbolt. I'll just switch out lastly because if I stayed in with the Rapidash, he would have switched in his Sand Slash, and I do not want that happening because Sand Slash can inflict neutral damage onto my Vileplume, and that will be more HP that I would need in order to take its repeated switch-ins and switch-outs with the Fake Out. It looks like in the end that Bayonet did its job because the residual damage from the burn as well as the Shadow Ball inflicted damage from the Poliwrath was enough to finish it off. So now in comes the Medicham, and Medicham is definitely going to go for the Fake Out. I know that, so I'm just going to switch right back out into my Rapidash to take the Fake Out, and I know that'll be faster, so I can go for the Fire Blast. If he wants to switch in his Sand Slash, he's going to have to take a Hidden Power Grass as well as a Fire Blast, which is what I'm doing, hoping that Fire Blast would score a hit, and it does because the animation is showing the Fire Blast, and boom. Kind of me was hoping that I would inflict a burn onto the Medicham so that his damage output would be cut in half, but that's kind of wishful thinking to hope for a 10% probability of a burn occurring. He's going to respond back with the Rock Slide and then be able to finish off my Rapidash. I go right back out into my last Pokemon, which is my Vileplume, and it is crunch time, ladies and gentlemen. I'm decided on whether I should go for the Sunny Day and or the Sleep Powder because I know Medicham is the most threatening thing on his team left over. I can take both Meganium as well as Sand Slash respectively, so I want to deal with this Medicham as fast as possible. And I think, like I said earlier, that he does know that Medicham is the most important party member of his squad left over right now. So he's going to switch right out, hopefully into his Meganium, so because I went for the Hidden Power Fire predicting that, and he does do just that. So now his Meganium is subject to take not one but two Sun boosted Hidden Power Fires coming from the Vileplume, which is what I predicted just now for him to switch out into his Meganium. So the first one looks like it will be a 2-hit KO, so I'm pretty confident that if I do a secondary Hidden Power Fire, I'll be able to finish it off. Part of me actually wanted to go for the Sleep Power because nothing on his squad is asleep anymore, just in case he happened to switch out into his Medicham to try to get off a Fake Out and then switch right out into Meganium to try to dissipate the turns of Sunny Day that I do have active. You gotta think about everything in play. I have one last Pokemon, and it's very crucial that I take down the Medicham of not all things. I keep saying that, you know? So now, since the secondary Hidden Power Fire did not finish it off, I'm just gonna go for the Sleep Powder because if I do happen to finish off the Meganium, he can in fact bring in the Medicham, Fake Out, and then afterwards that Fake Out would ensure that the Sunny Day would dissipate and he'd be able to get a nice little Shadow Ball, and then afterwards switch out into Meganium, and then afterwards switch right back out into his Medicham to finish me off with the secondary Fake Out. I see all this before it even happening. So now Sand Slash comes in, me predicting him to switch out into something, hopefully catching the Meganium. Sand Slash is just good enough because this turn I go for the Solar Beam, finish that clown off. Sand Slash, you're not doing nothing, man. So now you got a sleeping Meganium as well as Medicham left over. I know he's gonna feel inclined to switch into Medicham right now to go for the Fake Out. Sunny Day is still active, may I add? I think so. No, actually it dissipates this turn, which is alright, you know, because I think it would dissipate anyway if he went for the Fake Out, and then afterwards another turn of my Vileplume being active, the sunlight would have dissipated that turn. So he goes for the Fake Out now. I'm gonna take some damage, and afterwards I'm just gonna go for the Sunny Day as I think he inflicts the Shadow Ball onto me. Oh no, actually he goes for the High Jump Kick and stab, and it leaves me at a critical amount of HP. So I go for the Sunny Day now, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go for a secondary Sunny Day because, say hypothetically speaking, I finish off the Meganium this turn that he is gonna obviously switch out, then when Medicham comes in, the Fake Out will be more than enough to finish off my Vileplume. So now I'm gonna go for the Sunny Day, recover some leftovers, and afterwards finish off the Meganium with the Hidden Power Fire. I'll do just that. Meganium bites the dust. Will I hold enough hit points to survive the Fake Out coming from the Medicham? This is it. This is crunch time. It all comes down to whether I survive the Fake Out or not. And I didn't want to go for another turn of Sunny Day just in case he happened to switch right back out into Medicham and go for the Fake Out because all will be lost. I happen to survive the Fake Out. My Sunny Day is still active and be able to charge the Solar Beam. Not even have to because I do have the Sunny Day, and boom, headshot. No scope, baby. Medicham is done. So that was a great game, viewers. I definitely had a lot of fun. Peace. What you doing?